The second race of the Krill Pet Arctic World Series takes us across the Atlantic to Norway and the small mining town of Røros. It will be rough.
She's got a little bit problem. Oh, she's loose.
And the beautiful weather will soon change into a blizzard. As we'll witness the glorious moments, the legends.
It's my race.
And all the obstacles along the way.
The whole team got diarrhea on this.
This is the world's largest sled dog race in numbers of dog teams attending. And when you see the picturesque landscape, you'll know why. The world's largest sled dog race has as much as 150 dog teams setting out across the starting line, more participants than any other sled dog race on Earth. The race starts and ends in the colorful streets of Røros in Norway, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. For hundreds of years, this area has been used by the indigenous Southern Sami people for reindeer herding. The town was built around a copper mine. Today, the people in Røros live and work in the midst of old traditional wooden houses. Sled dogs became popular in the 1970s and was reinforced by the Femund race starting in 1990. Since then, sled dogs are a common sight in this area, both for tourists and more serious-minded mushers. The long-distance class of the Femund race is 650 kilometers long. That's 400 miles. Dog teams make their way through the woodlands, over snow-blown mountain passes, and across long frozen lakes. The race has some of Europe's and the world's best mushers aboard. Birgitte Næss has finished second and is chasing a victory. So is Swedish Petter Karlsson, who won in 2017. Robert Sorley, a two-time champion of the 1,000-mile race Iditarod, has participated in the Femund race every year since the start and has won 12 times before. Last year's champ, Thomas Werner, is also participating, and he and Robert go way back.
Well, I was a small kid when I met Robert, so I was 11 years old, and this was this great dog marcher. So Robert has been one of my biggest mentors always, and the way I'm racing now is actually a lot of things I learned from Robert.
Did you see that he had got talent when he was young already? Or?
Yeah, he has already talent before I met him, I think. So yeah, he has a big talent, and I have no secret. I tell everybody can see how much I train, how to do it, tell them what this is. So I think this is the right way to get people in the sport.
Yes, I think it's very important that we share knowledge, because if we're not, this sport will die out. So I think people have to learn that you have to be passionate about the dogs and know that it's a lot of work. The family has to be involved, and everybody has to be involved, and all the money just throws in, you know. And but I think it's very important, and especially the Femund race has these different classes, and you can be on this level or on this level, and you can still be a part of the race. So this is actually a perfect race for recruiting new mushers, and then it's very important that people like Robert and others are sharing what they want, know, and how you should race, because it's tough out there sometimes.
Dallas, you met Robert Sorley a long time ago as well in Alaska.
Yeah, when Robert was racing in 2002, 2003 in Iditarod. For me, the people who were winning the Iditarod were my idols, right? The legends of the sport. So it was very neat to see from Norway, and that's where I think I became aware of how big the mushing culture was in Norway. Again, I was very young at that time, and what I had seen was Alaskan mushing. So to realize there's a whole nother world of mushing, and that was kind of eye-opening for me and exciting.
Among the mushers getting ready are adventure and outdoorsman Lars Monsen.
I fell out of this bus backwards and hurt my leg a few days ago, so I don't have a leg to kick with. anything can happen, you know, but it's all about, it's just like any other sport, you know, go out there and have fun. You know, that's what it's all about.
A lot of the mushers, they're competitors, but their main goal is just to be out in that country, in nature with their dogs. And Lars is one of those. He's an outdoor adventure guy. He may be racing as much as he can, but it's a different focus really than like Robert Sorley, who is there to win.
In the same moment as the crowds are gathering in the main streets of Røros, the snow starts falling, making it a perfect setting for a sled dog race.
It's a beautiful day for a dog race. It's got the snow, it's got the look. We see a lot of happy wagging dogs out there. We're setting up for an amazing race here. There's a lot of talent in this race. This is going to be a really fun race to follow. A lot of talented dog mushers that have prepared amazing dog teams for us to watch here. We see some very excited dogs here barking and lunging. They're ready to hit the trail here every bit as much as the mushers are, I think.
These dogs are designed to go through snow, and when you look at those images and all the fans start lining the streets like the energy is growing, it's going to be a fantastic start.
We'll have the first musher out in any minute. That'll be Daniel Haagensen. He is a very fit guy with a really positive, competitive outlook on the race.
And
He's off. We have the first team in the Femund race hitting the trail in downtown Røros.
Amazing looking dog team charging down the road there. He's got good control.
On the top of the hill, the dog teams will meet their first big challenge, the feared 90-degree curve. With dogs charging into the sharp turn, many mushers have fallen off of their sled here.
Now we're seeing Daniel preparing, turning right into the curve, placing the sled a bit out, and then we have the curve right here. Yeah, he manages very well. A lot of people find that curve a bit nerve-wracking, but the only one I know which has really made a mistake there was actually Robert Sorley 1 or 2 years ago. He actually fell in that curve, and such a good musher. He sure have heard that afterwards that he didn't manage the sled there. So people keep joking.
And a little celebration dance there.
And the next one here on the starting line, this is Birgitte Næss.
Very capable dog musher, and one that I would expect to see do quite well in this race.
Oh yeah, I absolutely think she'll be top 5.
Next up, bib number 6, last year's winner, Thomas Werner.
Just getting ready to go, and this is perfect weather. I always do it best when it's not perfect, so...
Ready for the turn now?
Oh yeah, that's never been a problem. That's only Robert.
You know, it's one of those things, if you wipe out a very public place like this, you know, as Robert did, you're never going to live that down. Thomas is last year's champion and, of course, one of our top competitors for this year's Femund. And these are the types of mushers, like we heard Thomas saying, he likes worse weather. And the better the musher, the better their ability to handle adversity. The more different things, the more variables in a race, the better they're going to do. And that's where experience comes into play.
This musher is Petter Karlsson from Sweden, and he's won the long Finnmark race twice. He's won the Femund race. He is one of the most ambitious mushers ever.
Robert Sorley is feeling confident with his experienced dog team.
Most of these dogs, they have gone the year before. They know what this is. They love it.
And you love it as well, right?
So, yeah. I have tried to quit, but it's not easy to quit this sport.
So now you're ready for the 90-degree turn?
Yes, I am.
The musher before Sorley is Nina Vollen, and she got to experience the curve the hard way.
Oh, she's got a little bit problem. Oh, she's loose. As I said, the curve is bad. But here right now we have Robert Sorley. This guy only has one goal, and that's to be on top of the podium. He's racing to win this race.
Very experienced musher. Definitely has the ability to win this race. He's a two-time
The second race of the Krill Pet Arctic World Series takes us across the Atlantic to Norway and the small mining town experience the curve the hard way.
Oh, she's got a little bit problem. Oh, she's just, as I said, the curve is bad. But here right now we have Robert Shirley. This guy only has one goal, and that's to be on top of the podium. He's racing to win this race.
Very experienced musher. Definitely has the ability to win this race. He's a two-time Iditarod champion. Also, I think this is one of the people we'll be watching throughout the race with a very competitive run here.
He's taking precautions here, bending forward.
This year, he had no problem.
And then we hope Nina is all right in front of him so he can pass or to catch up with her nicely.
Most long-distance mushers have huskies, but Christer Afsir has brought his Malamutes along.
It's a different look of a dog, right? Malamutes are a much larger dog, a little bit slower metabolism, which makes them ideal for long expeditions. They have an incredible ability to pull huge amounts of weight. Taking a little detour.
No, I used to have 3 Malamutes, and they're so social dogs, so they probably found some snack.
They've got a mark
here
on some snow. I would say Malamutes are very... they're less committed to traveling fast like the Alaskan Huskies. They're more likely to take a break and to take a little pee here. Also, they're very stubborn. They can be very strong-willed, and if they want to do something, you're working with them. Because they have a mind of their own for sure.
They are so social and nice dogs.
We had another bathroom break.
Well, I might have problems with some females in heat in front, running in front here.
No, I think this is normal for Malamutes. They're going to mark their territory. Like I said, you see they like to mush, they like to travel, but they're not in a hurry like the Alaskan Huskies that are driven to run, right? And that's part of the speed difference, and of course their body is a little bit different. These are professional weightlifters, which is very much an athlete, but a little bit different than your professional endurance, marathon runners.
After the start, it doesn't take long before they reach the mountains where the weather is about to get worse. Just a few hours into the race, the mushers get to experience the extreme weather as they cross the first mountain.
We got a little bit of wind up there, a little bit of drifted trails. You can see that it's very well marked with those stakes. That's what the mushers are following, those orange sticks sticking in the snow. And they're very close together because this is an area that's going to have strong winds and could have limited visibility.
You have that piling up and drifting of snow, but yet the dogs just blow right through it. They muscle through it, and it shows you how important those lead dogs are, especially in a wind situation. It's difficult for them to run into the wind, and that's when these mushers are talking about my speed leader, my command leader, my wind leader. They have different skills, and those are very skilled dogs that can find the trail that's blown in and yet listen to the musher and stay on course. Follow that trail. Don't drift with the wind.
Whether they're trotting or loping, what I'm looking at is, are they comfortable in it, and how much fuel are they burning? I want to see these guys being a little bit more mellow in these conditions and remembering just how long this race is and rationing that fuel. So the first 24 hours of the race, we talked to a few mushers, and I think pretty much everybody was saying, get the dogs settled into a rhythm, get them into a routine, and set kind of the eating and resting routines and do no damage, right? You don't want to have any fatigue in the muscles after this first day. And in conditions like this, it's very important that you're keeping that speed down. It is fun watching this type of racing here. There's not many races in Alaska that we would see start off with their first run in this type of topography with these type of conditions. And I'd like to hear what Bruce is thinking on that, because this is kind of Norwegian racing here. We see a much slower pace, softer snow, a lot of the wind drifted stuff.
It's artwork to me to see those images of dogs running through blowing snow like that.
And I think as a fan from the outside looking in, it's watching dogs in a windy blizzard sort of environment do what they were put on this planet to do what their genetic link has designed them to do. These are absolutely beautiful, beautiful images of sled dogs.
It's a unique blending of man and animal and nature.
As the teams go across the mountain, Daniel Haagensen has been passed.
We have Birgitte Næss at the far right here in the lead. We have Daniel Haagensen as number 2. He was bib number 1. And then after Daniel, we have Thomas Werner, last year's winner.
First to reach the first checkpoint, called Tufsingdalen, is Birgitte Næss, who finished in second last year.
More teams coming into the checkpoint. We have Daniel in the front and we see Thomas Werner in the back.
And they're just a few minutes off the pace that Birgitte set there. And it's hard to say good or bad, right? It's too early to know, did Birgitte go a few minutes too fast or are they a few minutes too slow, right? And again, it comes down to what's the right pace for your dog team. And I think it's going to be fairly common to see mushers take a short stop here. I think they'll either not stop at all or they'll stay here about, I'd say, an hour to maybe as much as 2.5 or 3 hours before continuing on to the next checkpoint.
We see Robert Sorley's team coming in, looking pretty nice right now.
Most of the competitive mushers are not resting for long at this checkpoint. Some of them are barely stopping at all.
We have Petter Karlsson, he's leaving now.
So he is pulling on through there. We saw him come into the checkpoint, immediately grab something, head over, restocked a few items. He would have only been here in just a few minutes.
Defending champion Thomas Werner is taking a quick break, coming in third to this checkpoint. Prior to the race, we went to meet up with him and his dogs.
The reason why I'm doing mushing is actually a question that I've been asking myself many times, because it's a lot of work. For me, it is the nature and with the dogs and building a dog team. I think that's what I'm passionate about. It's the bond actually between the dogs. And you have new puppies, you're working with them and you're seeing them develop to these great athletes. And then suddenly you have this incredible performance team that can just go for hours and hours. And that feeling is so special, so I can't stop. Hey, Birge. It's very important for me that the dogs are feeling good, feeling happy, having good attitude. I think actually these dogs maybe have a more happy life than us. They actually can do what they want to do every day. And that's actually being out on trips and just having fun. Now we have to deal with bills and people and all the other things, but they can do what they want to do. And that's chasing the trail. That's what I like. The bad thing with dogs that I really, really hate is that it comes a time when a dog has just lost the energy of living. And that's actually when you have to go to the veterinary and say goodbye. And that's always hard because it's, you spend so many hours with these dogs. You've done so many races, you've been so proud of these dogs. And suddenly when they are, 12, 13, maybe sometimes 14, something just happening in their life. But I think the years they are living, this is dogs that can actually do what they want, and they are just loving it. When I'm in the competition, I have I like to win, but most important for me is to have the great team and actually go to the race and see that this is working. We are performing, we are able to go fast, we are doing all the right things. Actually, I think a victory in long distance is actually getting to the finish line. So I think if you're in the last place, maybe you will have a stronger feeling, and you see people coming into the finish line crying and they are so emotional when they're coming in. For me, I get so proud of the dogs. You're so proud of that team, how they are performing, and you have worked with these dogs since they were puppies, and now they are these great athletes that are just performing on a level that you just think is incredible, almost impossible.
Over the night, the mushers have traveled along Femund Lake. The first mushers have reached the third checkpoint, called Trysil, where most choose to take their 6 hours of mandatory rest. The trail veterinarians are checking the dogs thoroughly, making sure they are in good shape. But some of the teams have problems. Thomas Werner was leading into Trysil, but he is not feeling well.
I heard some rumors you were sick at the first checkpoint and the second checkpoint. How are you feeling here at the third one?
I'm feeling better, but I'm not feeling like a Superman actually now. But it's better. The food is not coming up again. So
okay, so you've been throwing up?
Yes, a lot. So that was kind of rough.
You had the speed you want to have in your dog team, or were you the dogs affected by you being ill?
Well, I think it's more that you are dead weight on the sled in all the uphills, and so you don't kick. You don't help them at all.
So you haven't been helping your dogs?
No, not at all. I've just been standing on the sled.
But I mean, we talk a lot about the dogs, so the veterinarians are taking care of the dogs and helping you guys, giving you advice. But you've been sick as well, throwing up. Have you got any help from any doctors?
No, not at all. Actually, mushers are not so very good to take care of themselves. But I have handlers that two of my friends have with me. So they are giving me food and everything.
And it's amazing over the years, being around these events, how often we've seen mushers come down with some stomach bug. And I think it's what separates these athletes, I'm talking about the human athlete side of things now, from others, in that, if you're not feeling well, oftentimes you take the game off or you don't go out for the round of golf that day. But with mushers, they seem to tough it out, Bruce.
These are major events in the year for a musher, whether it's this race or the Bear Grease, whatever your particular top 3 races are that you're going to run in a year. You don't just go home because you're sick. That's not even something to consider. If you can keep going, you will, because you don't want to let your dogs down.
Another musher having issues is the adventurer, Lars Monsen.
How are you doing?
Not so good, actually. The whole team got diarrhea on this leg.
Oh, your
the whole
dogs
team,
had diarrhea.
yeah.
Oh, that's too bad.
I'll have to cure it.
Did you have to stop on the trail and to rest?
That's 1 hour lost just stopping the whole team.
Robert Sorley is keeping a steady pace and came in 5th to the Trysil checkpoint.
I feel good. I have slept 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours. So I feel very good.
Robert, that's good for an old man.
Yeah, it's good for an old man. Yes, that's right. It was a lot of downhill here, but I think it's not the downhill, it's the age.
And thank goodness it's Nina that's out there, because only she can get away with calling Robert Sorley old.
Old man, And like we're saying, in my book, he's not that old to be a competitor. Joe Reddington ran in his 70s.
When he was 80.
And Colonel Vaughn ran in his 80s. And Dallas said his granddad ran. Yeah. So it's those dogs out front. The musher needs the help. But that's no excuse. Get out there, Robert, and go. I wouldn't call him an old man.
While some are chasing the victory, others find meaning in different aspects of dog mushing.
It's therapy for me. I lost my daughter in 2017 in April in accident in the slope hill. So after that, she was 12 years old. So after that, I had to do something to deal with the days. So huskies and training and competition and nature is my kind of therapy. So it's tough when it's long distance and it's quiet and it's
But I'm very impressed by you, Siri. You're a rookie this year. You have a big curve. You have started out with high goals. You use dog mushing as therapy. But you're quite a tough girl anyway, because what is your work, Siri?
I'm a policewoman in Oslo. So maybe that's a little bit part of it, yes. We train the people out in the streets to get, use weapons and tactics and driving, everything.
So you're actually quite good in driving cars, right?
I'm a driving instructor. Yeah.
All right. So, what happened when a dog team will be speeding before you? Are you off work or are you on work?
I'm totally off work then. Just having fun, and yes.
Well, Siri, nice talking to you. I really hope you have a great race, although I'm sure it'll be an emotional roller coaster. Yes. I'm sure coming to the finish line, it's going to be a big, big goal accomplished for you.
Absolutely.
And I wish you all the best.
Thank you, thank you.
Despite a rough start, falling in the curve, Nina Wallin is in good spirits.
What happened?
I think I was so nervous for the turn, so I started falling over before the turn. And then when I came back on the sled, I hit a bit of snow or something and then just tipped.
Did you get help from the volunteers, or what happened? Did you lose your team?
No, I hold on to the team, and then at first I saw there was one guy trying to throw himself after my team, and then when I looked behind me, there was 3 guys hanging after my team. So we could slow them down, and then we hit some snow, and then the sled just bumped up by itself, and then I could just tell them to let go.
Were you able to be calm afterwards, or were you nervous after the fall?
Not nervous, just a bit embarrassed.
First out of the checkpoint is Thomas Werner. He's now leading the race.
And you see completely different body positions with these dogs leaving versus coming in. Their tails are up. They're in a little bit different gait. They're excited to go.
Not far behind is Barbara Inouye.
So obviously she's going to be aware of where Thomas is right in front of her. And this is a nice-looking dog team. So here it looks like we have maybe one team coming into the checkpoint and one team going out of the checkpoint.
Yeah.
That's Barbara coming out there. So we have our first head-on pass for her. Obviously, this team just passed Thomas a few seconds ago. And that's a classic pass right there. A few dogs will put their nose over to kind of reach out, give a high five, and say hi. But for the most part, it's a pretty smooth passing operation there.
That was fantastic. I love seeing that live. Are you kidding?
That's what you do. You just tell them on by. Those dogs know they're so well trained. They just do their thing and boom, and that's when it's nice and slick.
And I know, Bruce and Dallas, you guys see that every day in your training lives, but like to see that on live television is tremendous to me. That was really, really, really cool. Peter Carlson is the 3rd musher to lead.
Here we go. Peter Carlson heading out of Drissel checkpoint. We got Birgitta getting ready to take off, and there she goes, taking off out of the checkpoint at Drissel, and that's an even-looking team.
Looks like they're in the backyards of people's homes. This is very cool. They could sit in the house and watch out the window.
Taking a little bit of a detour, and we're going to have a few clothesline people, I think. Oh, there we got the dog team stopped. Dogs are a little confused as to where we're going here, but all the fans are helping get the team lined out, getting these guys figured out in the right course. That looks like we got Robert Sorley here. Yep, there, he's got her lined out. There's a thank you high five for everybody as he goes on by. It can be confusing when you got a big crowd and there's trails all over, everything's packed down. It's not always clear to the dogs where to go. There's just a lot going on, so it can be hard for them to hear their musher's voice and pick that out over everything else, especially when they're tuned in and focusing on something else.
We saw a lot of resting going on today. Yesterday we saw dogs able to maneuver their way through blowing snow. Today we watched them go through overflow, and now we're watching a trail warm up, and now we're watching teams go off into the darkness, into this night that is in front of us. I think in a 24-hour period, we have seen a lot that can be thrown at a musher in these environments. It's been awesome to watch. We've got 10 teams within a few kilometers, which sets up a lot of drama as these hours go forward now, going into a Monday finish and a championship that we're expecting. So this is going to be incredible television till the very, very end, and I don't think anybody's going to want to miss it. It's awesome to watch what's happening today. Overnight, the race has taken a turn. Thomas Werner has fallen behind and is now in 3rd place behind Robert Sorley and Birgitte Ness. While Lars Monsen's dogs are getting better, he is getting worse. In a video from the trail, he shares the news that he has decided to scratch because of his injured knee. As the race progresses, Sorley is slowly catching up to Ness.
It looks like we're going to have a pass here.
Yeah,
pretty
we
soon.
are. We're going to watch it live.
Robert's setting at a really nice place. There he goes with the pass. Leader's just stretching on the team out there and getting by.
And let's not downplay
with you
what
100%
just
on
happened.
that one here.
When we get to the finish line and we look back on who the winner and who the loser was, or the second place team in this race, and if Robert goes on to win it, we just saw the winning move there on live television. And so it's
pretty amazing, isn't it?
It's awesome. Like the moment that we go to it, I mean, within 2.5 minutes, we may have just seen the winning move in this race by a great champion.
Team move. Obviously, he's got his foot off the brake here. He's putting a little bit of distance between him and Brigitte. He does not want her to draft here, and this says it right here. Speed wins dog races. Now, speed is a dangerous weapon. It's kind of a double-edged sword. It's also the thing that can make your team a little less stable, but an expert musher like Robert Sorley, who knows how to manage speed, knows how to keep speed, you know, it's very, very, very hard to beat these guys. We got Robert Sorley coming up. So he's just a short distance ahead of Brigitte, who we were just watching. But this is Robert Sorley, the leader of our race, coming by our camera live.
Smoking.
He seems to be in good spirits and a nice-looking team right there, kind of as they start to head down this mountainside and going to be picking up speed. And not too long behind Robert Sorley, we got 4 minutes and 24 seconds that Robert has put between him and second place Brigitte Ness here. Both of these mushers are running a beautiful, dominant race, and I mean, it's great that they're both in this together, because now we get a great competition between the two of them.
Now we get down to the grind of climbing a mountain, and all they've got to do is just ease into that, take it a step at a time, just like a climber on a high mountain, and don't overexert. Just get into that rhythm that gets you to the top of the mountain.
So here we've got the trail shot of Robert Sorley getting up towards the pass on this mountain. I see the wind is a little bit stronger up here, and there's going to be some drifts, and he can have some comfort knowing that Brigitte is going to have to bust these same drifts, because they probably will reform by the time she arrives. We're getting a great shot of Brigitte coming up here towards the crest of this, or the pass of the mountain here. You know, the dogs got a little confused there, getting off the trail, you know, kind of heading in the wrong direction a little bit. And this can be very challenging for the lead dogs, because everything does look similar and drifted in. And here again, dogs swinging over, maybe a little bit confused on which direction. Some communication errors there. So I have to call them back over this way, get them back on the trail. And you see this tan dog, he's kind of looking over there, wondering if the cameraman and the snow machine is where they're supposed to be going. The black dog on the left-hand side seems a little more convinced that the trail's over there, but isn't confident enough to drag the other lead dog over. There, the black one's going to pull him over to the trail, get him lined out. This is a situation where having one lead dog up there, having the right lead dog up there, might make this a lot easier. Yeah, so now they're back on course and cruising along, but it can be a little bit confusing. We still see our tan lead dog looking back, wondering if the folks that they just passed were the direction they were supposed to have gone. Now, there is about a 12-minute difference between Robert Sorley coming through here to Brigitte coming through here now. The last time we saw him on trail, I think there was a 4-minute difference, so that gap is starting to grow.
In Orkelbagen, Brigitte's handler and boyfriend is speculating on Brigitte's chances to pass Sorley.
She's very, very glad and excited over the race. It's a new dog team, and we hoped it was a good team, but we are very happy so far. And I think maybe if we have a team that can take Robert on this race, it will be on the last stage.
The mushers find themselves in the midst of a whiteout, making it hard to navigate. Now it's time for Robert to show what his team is made of.
Robert Sorley coming down this slope here. These guys are stretching out. That's a 12-dog team looking really, really nice there. Now, this is a steep enough slope that I think Robert's doing about all he can to keep them slowed down. And you see those dogs still pulling, kind of accelerating the sled down this hill.
Are you kidding me? I mean, let's wax on right now for a moment about what we're seeing. I mean, look at the pitch of this hill that Robert Sorley is going down. Holy smokes!
So he must be passing one of the others.
A pass coming from behind. It looks like he's going to pass a couple of them here.
Whoa.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Looks like we have a little bit of issue. So we have 2 of the 8-dog teams.
More than 2.
At least 3 of the 8-dog teams trying to conduct a pass here. And some of the lead dogs got a little stalled in the process. Perhaps, or maybe they're just clearing the trail for Robert as he's coming down here. But I think they were trying to conduct a pass of their own. He's coming along. Makes a nice clean pass by these guys. There we go. That's a whole stack of these the 8-dog teams right there.
Meanwhile, the mushers farther back on the trail are unaware of the whiteout that is waiting for them in the mountains.
We've got Petter Carlson, I believe, coming through this storm.
Wow.
This is turning into a real storm. We see a headlamp there. You know, it's still, man, I mean, that is a whiteout. That is the definition right there. I believe he has the GPS in his hand right there because he wants to know right away if he gets off this track at all, making sure he's on the right course. And now we understand why these stakes are so close together, right?
Robert reaches the 6th checkpoint first.
The team's looking good coming into the checkpoint after accomplishing a 112-kilometer run in this one stretch through some very challenging conditions there. And they cruise right into the checkpoint.
It was crazy. It was so crazy. It was up and down, snow, windy. It has everything. It's a tough trail, very tough trail. I'm thinking about everybody.
40 minutes after Robert, Brigitte arrives. She's lost valuable time in the hard conditions.
I had to use my GPS to find the way. It was completely white and no sticks. Really bad. Welcome to the checkpoint. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Finally, at this checkpoint, the mushers get a well-deserved rest. We're moving into the 4th and final day of the race. During the night, Robert Sorley has held on to the lead, passing the last checkpoint called Tolga.
One big aspect to me that happened last night was the big push that Thomas Varner did. I mean, coming from behind, that just shows how rest relates to speed. He was having trouble with the dogs eating, and he rested, and then look what happens. Boom, he moves back up to 4th place. That's an impressive run that he had during the night.
Yeah, and when you consider he personally wasn't feeling well early in the race, but a good veteran musher that understands how to win these races, took the extra time, kind of nursed his team, got it all feeling good again, and now he's put himself in position for another great finish in this race. And it's far from over this morning. It looks like Robert Sorley's on his way to another championship here, but again, you just don't know, and that's the beauty of dog mushing in these events. On the last leg of the race, Robert is forced to make some changes in his team.
So we're seeing him rearrange some dogs here. I'm curious if he's going to load the dog in the sled or if he's just going to move positions. No, it looks like he's going to bring this dog all the way back to the sled and load the dog in the sled. And this is one of those places where the dogs seem to be doing all right on the trail there from an outside perspective, but the musher feels that the team can go faster by carrying the dog rather than having the dog on the ground. That's one that he's probably wishing right now he had left behind in the previous checkpoint of Tolga, and this is where we see big teams. You know, he has 12 dogs. Brigitte behind him only has 9, and we say, well, a 12-dog team might be more powerful than a 9-dog team, but having left one dog behind at the checkpoint, Brigitte is less likely to have to, carry a dog in the sled. So this one's ultimately going to slow him down a little bit.
So far, Robert Sorley has done a phenomenal job racing. but Brigitte Ness is in position to catch up with him.
Boy, now here's a team moving. There's the speed difference right there with Brigitte's team. I mean, look at, again, the cadence, the rhythm of those dogs' legs. That team looked really nice right there moving along.
It seems like Brigitte is about to close in on Robert, but running on the lake, she notices that something isn't right and decides to make a stop.
And that's pretty common. Check them out, see if there's an issue. Yep, there's a problem. We're going to put the dog in the sled. So as she starts to get to these little rolling hills that we saw Robert working through, she's now going to have some extra weight in that sled as well. So you see her making a little room, taking out the sleeping bag there, make a nice comfortable nest for him in there, and load the dog up.
And Dallas, these are critical minutes she's losing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at this point in the race, I think every minute counts. When she's loading this dog, I think she's going to recognize, okay, if I had any chance of catching Robert, that's probably not going to be here now. But again, it's the right thing to do for the dog. So I think that's obviously your first call is do what's right for the team. Second call is, how do we run this race effectively and, competitively race? But of course, that all happens after the care of the team itself.
With Brigitte Ness at a comfortable distance now, Robert can enjoy the last few miles to the finish line.
Smiling, giving the thumbs up. I see the dog team coming in here, coming up the chute to the finish line for the 13th time on his 31st run. And we got Robert Surley winning the Femund in 2020.
And there's his wife with the kiss that Nina was talking about.
It has been an amazing team. They have everything. They are fast. They are strong. Yeah, it's a complete team. I think it should be no problem for me from Orkla, but when I had to take this dog in the basket, I think I get problem. But I was a little bit nervous that she should catch me up. She had a really good dog team.
Not long after, Brigitte Ness secures second place.
See Brigitte Ness coming across the finish line in second place with 8 dogs on the ground, 1 riding along. Nice looking team, and she has now finished the 2020 Femund race with a very solid looking team. I think she ought to be very, very proud of this performance in this dog team right now.
I'm very satisfied actually. It's good to be here. I'm the second every time. But I'm very satisfied with the dogs.
In third place is Petter Carlson.
And he has officially finished the Femund here. Nice looking dog team and a very happy musher, I suspect, with a phenomenal performance in this year's race.
Yeah, it always feels always nice to come back to the rules and finish this race. And I think it has been a really good race. So I'm happy with the team and the dogs.
Those guys are moving. They're in a lope. He's got that speed back.
Thomas Varner has had a great run the last third of the race. While he didn't get to defend his victory from last year's Femund, he still has the opportunity to do well in an even longer race in Alaska. Iditarod. It's the 4th and last race of the Krill Pet Arctic World Series.
He's got to be excited about taking this team to the Iditarod. It's going to be really fun to follow him during that.
We're just under 5 weeks from the start of the Iditarod here. If I was at this point in training, I would want to try as best as I could to replicate what these dogs are going to be experiencing on the Iditarod. And I would really want to have a team looking like what Thomas had right now. So I think his decision to kind of ease back in this race a little bit after being aggressive in the beginning was a very good decision, not only for his ultimate placement in this race, coming in 4th with a very nice looking team, but also obviously in the back of his mind, he's thinking, I'm getting ready for the Iditarod. That's going to be his big race for the year.
It's been rough. The first 30 hours was pretty rough. And the dog has actually not been eating. So I have been having all these issues. But then I started eating, and then now they went really good. The good for me, I do a lot better when I get a little resistance. So I think this was a tough race for me, and I think that will be good for our Iditarod.
The top 4 dog teams of the Femund race have crossed the finish line. As the Femund race is coming to an end for the 3rd race in the Krill Pet Arctic World Series, we're moving east all the way to Russia, home of the Siberian Husky. There by the Volga River, which is the longest river in Europe, we'll find a sled dog race called the Volga Quest. We've got young and rising stars, veterans, and different dog breeds, all eager to do their best. Thanks for now from Norway. Up next, we'll see you in Russia.